Introspect, take a sec, watch it step, where you step, when you step, falling free through the sky, feel the breeze, feel the eye, all your fears, let them die, energy never lies, introspect, take a second, let your world unfold.
Oh, y'all.
You win some, you lose some. Oh, now you want to start the intro 12 minutes in?
Man, because y'all.
Whose fault is that?
Right?
Look,
This
man.
is his fault. He out here. Look, let's hit him with the M verse. He was so excited. He
as
hit him
soon
with
as I
the M
started
verse.
talking, I knew he was going to start it.
You know
so
what I'm saying?
I was just like, I beat it. I was like, all right, we're going to continue. I said,
Whatever.
all right, you're not doing an intro.
Anywho,
12 minutes in,
I'm gonna
he's
do this
like,
intro
all
anyway.
right.
We don't need no intro.
All
We don't
right.
need no
Episode
hook.
11.
Going straight
But
through
let
it.
me announce it. But let
You
me
know
announce
what?
the number. This is what we on. Season
my
2,
goodness.
episode 11. Man, by now y'all should already know. I'm your host Cecil. My boy's Osahan. Abraham is in here. We're healed.
Abraham is
Who's entangled?
Man.
Which one of y'all?
Not me,
What?
boy.
Wait, what?
Well,
I'm just holding the camera. I'm just filming.
I said, who?
Yo.
Who was it? That's what I want to know. The camera people. Like, what was? Can you imagine being not even a fly on the wall? The camera person.
Nah,
the
okay.
camera for that situation. Just
Look, watching that video watching the episode was interesting on several levels.
back up
Look,
for our
man.
listeners, because for our listeners,
Oh, yeah.
viewers out there, today, time of this recording, a few hours before this recording, the Red Table Talk episode in which Jada brought herself to the table. In reality, her and Will came to the table to discuss the recent allegations by one, not July Alcina, but August Alcina.
August,
okay,
what they called him.
Brother Og. They call him little Og. They was belittling him low key. Og, you know, when Og came into our family, you know, he.
Hold on,
So they were discussing all those allegations, and listen here, folks.
Let's just play it since we're already here. Let's
play it. Listen, I don't know.
So
I need to take a nap.
Okay,
What happened?
So let's start with,
what we starting with?
I guess about 4.5 years ago.
Yeah.
I think it was about 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Started a friendship with August.
Stop. Now, first off,
That's not even the worst one. No, I like.
It's not. It's not.
I like side that happens later, but I'm glad you're noting this now.
But the
I'm glad
fact
you're noting this now.
that she's saying, well, it started 4 years ago, this friendship. First off, did you start the friendship because you wanted, you know, your son to be cool with him? Like, why did you even start the friendship? Like, what? Cardi B, what was the reason?
This is Jaden's
What was the
fault.
reason?
Jaden's fault. Jaden, you brought this man into the home.
Listen,
you did this, Jaden. You brought your friend over.
Honestly, Jaden is probably like, he's not bringing no friends over no more.
No,
he ain't bringing friends over no more. That's it.
No, you can't have no friends spend the night no more, Jaden.
None. Because now I know why you was coming over for
no more. Ain't no icon, nothing.
He came over for milk and cookies.
Some milk and cookies.
Some milk and cookies. All right, let's
you the Fresh Prince.
Hold on, let's do this.
Started with him just needing some help.
Help.
You know, me wanting to help his health, his.
That pause scares me. It's awkward. Me wanting to help his, and then you want to say his life and all that other stuff.
Mental state.
Because for me, that was the thing when Og first came around. He was really sick.
He was really sick. Yeah.
And the outpouring for him from our family was initially about his health.
Yeah. And I mean, we found all those different resources, you know, to help pull him through. And from there, you know, you and I were going through a very difficult time.
Yeah.
Okay, wait. Now, here's the thing I want to know. She says she went from helping this dude out, and at the same time, I guess they were, you know, going through their separation with Will. My question is, where did this mindset switch from helping this dude as a family to now saying, let me see what type of healing I need. Like, where, like, how?
Well, I
Did
mean,
that-
Here's listen.
she kind of explains it
I was
later.
done with
Yeah,
you.
but
Oh,
she
no, my bad.
overcomplicated it. Let's just
Oh
She
yeah,
did.
she does.
She did.
it's just, you know what? I'll let it finish
Yeah,
before
go
I
ahead.
before I give the Spark Notes edition.
Kick me
I
to the
was
curb.
done with you.
Yeah. We
Marriages
basically-
have that though. Marriages have that.
Yeah, we basically we broke up.
We
Nah,
decided
marriages
that
don't
we
have
were
to have
going
that.
to separate for a period of time, and you go figure out how to make yourself happy, and I'll figure out how to make myself happy.
Well, at that particular point in time, it was indefinite.
Yeah, I really felt like we could be over. you
Yeah,
know?
no, we
And-
were over.
And then what did you
Will was done. Will was like, I'm out.
do, Jada?
Well, you know, I think from there, you know, as time went on, I got into a different kind of entanglement with August. And one thing I want to get clear about and clean up, one of the things that was kind of
How you gonna clean
swirling
this
in
up?
the press about you giving permission, which is, you know, the only person that can give permission in that particular
Yeah.
circumstance is myself.
Yes,
True.
exactly.
Yeah. But what August was probably trying to communicate,
Mm-hmm.
because I could actually see how he would perceive it as permission because we were separated amicably.
Yeah.
I'm fast forward to the end, to the good stuff.
When they made
Because I
that
wasn't
Bad
sure I
Boys
was ever
reference.
going to speak to you again.
I know.
Yeah, like the fact that I'm speaking to you again is a miracle.
I would agree.
No, but it ain't for the weak at heart. There's just certain things that you have to go through, and it's like,
And I wish, you know, I wish that wasn't the case. I do. I wish that wasn't the case.
I sure wish it could be all magic and miracles.
Yeah. You got to go through some to get the answers.
Mhm.
You know, and I'm just happy because I definitely believe that you and I, we never, ever, ever thought that we would make it back.
Yeah, there's a real power in the just knowing somebody's riding with you no matter what.
Yeah.
Will
And
sounded
you
real
really
pissed when
can't
he said
know
that.
that.
Though.
Until you go through
Until you through some stuff, you know. I don't want to go through this no more.
Yeah, no, I don't
Yeah.
either.
Yeah. I'm gonna get you back first.
You meant
and
it.
then
You're going to get me back. I think you got me back. I think you... I think we're
Jada
good
was
on
real
that,
shook when he said
okay?
that.
Okay, that's probably true. That's
You
probably
know,
true.
but... And I don't think it's about getting anybody back.
No, for me it is.
He meant that, like I said.
He's like, nah.
Like I said.
Immediately.
Absolutely.
Per
I
my
said what I
last
said.
email, I said what I said.
Yo, but all right. So here's the thing. Are you gonna play more of the clip?
Oh no, I'm done. You can do it.
Okay.
You can go ahead.
So here's the thing. So listen to that. It was so funny how she tried to use certain words to kind of sugarcoat what the situation was. She first said friendship, and then she resorted to entanglement. And even Will called out and said, like, all right, I'm you in this situation. So entanglement. What is entanglement? You got tell us what it is. Like, don't say like, oh, it was some abstract thing that just sort of happened, innocent. No.
Right.
Call it what it wasn't. He said interaction, but it was also a relationship. So the thing for me that overall though, I do agree with what they said. Following a few seconds after she said that she's the only one that can give her permission in that instance, is that they both said that this is something that they usually keep private. They would have handled this privately. Unfortunately, you know, August came out, which I agree with them in the sense that it was so many years ago that now to come out just seemed okay. Clearly, there was some issues that hadn't been resolved, and instead of coming to the table, you went to the media. Another thing too is just seeing how you think of the most toxic relationship that can exist, right? And then take out the components, the physical components that you see that make it toxic, such as maybe drug use, physical abuse, all that stuff, and realize that that is what Will and Jada's relationship must be. Intensely toxic, but they make it work somehow. They're not messy about it.
They're functional with their
they're
toxicity.
They're functional. They're not destructive with it. That is what their relationship is. And you know what? By all means, God bless them. You know, it works for them. It works for them. But this episode I was just like, yeah, Will call her out, and Will genuinely seemed like, yo, yeah, I was through. I was ready to. It was done. But the fact that, and he said all the things you've done, that I'm still here, and she said that, yeah, you know, if someone told me that this and this and this is going to happen, I would have been like, nah, there's no way he stays. For that to be like, yo, what? There's so much we don't know.
Yeah, this is not even. This is surface in their minds.
Yeah.
To, I'm sure all the other stuff. I'll be honest. Will still look like he was hurt. He's still processing through even the way he wanted to kind of press her a little bit with certain vocabulary, like entanglement. What define that? What is entanglement? Another thing is this. That's a deeper thing that I wanted to address that I'm seeing is that people are blaming August for most all of this. And my thing is this man has a lot of trauma, a lot of issues. Now, don't get me wrong. Should he be held accountable? For sure. Is he wrong? Yes. But we can't just come out here and be like, oh, he's messy and he's this and that and the fourth. When it comes to abuse and trauma, my age does not defeat trauma. Like, my age, just because I'm a grown man, doesn't mean now that number defeats my trauma and my history with abuse and stuff like that. That stuff needs a lot of healing. Not that kind of healing, but that stuff needs healing, and that stuff takes time to process to get rid of. So for people to say, well, he's a grown man, that's no excuse. Well, hold on. Like, we make mistakes due to what we struggle with that we haven't dealt with in the past. Grown men. And so that's where I feel like the double standard, there's the birthing of this type of double standard where a woman gets abused, a woman gets hurt or taken advantage of in that sense. And everybody's like, oh my God, the man is this, and that, and the fourth. But if it happens to a man, it's, man, what are you doing? Like, you're a grown man. Why you let that happen? And that's a fine line. And that's a huge problem I have with this whole thing is not the fact that, all that stuff is happening. That's their business. And, August did what he did. He told. My issue is with the mindset that we have when it comes to abuse and trauma per the gender. I feel like there's a double standard there. And that's a huge issue because we don't know. We don't know. At the end of the day, we don't know. And so that's all I got from that one. My takeaway on that one for sure.
I don't know why folks are complicating this. Like, this is and maybe it's because Will and Jada are celebrities. That's why people are overcomplicating this. But let's just
know they're open.
Let's remove even beyond the open stuff, okay? Because I've dealt with couples, seen couples. Marriage is on the rocks. Might as well be starting the divorce proceedings, okay? One or the other goes and finds a nice young thing to have a fling with, and either A, they discover that the grass is not greener on the other side, or they trick themselves to believe that the turf that they're messing around with is actual real grass. So I'm just gonna run off with the turf and act like everything is okay. And deep down inside, you still haven't resolved any of the hurt and all the trauma you have from whatever's gone on with your ex or your soon-to-be ex or whatever.
Right.
August Alsina, you just ended up, and it sucks, it's unfortunate, but you ended up the young side piece in all of this, and you caught feelings, did not result. Now
while they were separated. So
while they were separated, so in your mind, you're thinking it's A-okay. Right. Yeah. And for August as well, I think what people need to recognize, I think he has a chronicled history of mental health challenges, as well as he was going through a situation with some liver disease at the time.
Yes.
So your physical and your mental health are both compromised at the time.
Yeah.
That's a lot to deal with as a young man in the entertainment industry. Okay. So in this case, hurt people hurt people. So Jada, whatever you're going through with Will, running off and doing whatever with August isn't going to solve it. Now, in August's mind, it's twisted, skewed.
Twisted.
I gave years to this. I gave. Like this sounds like great content for a Lifetime film. Okay. For a Lifetime movie. That's what it is.
Lifetime is already writing the script. Now they just
I'm sure they've already written
white people. So they just finding the cast right now.
This week, the news came out
after this from August.
Hilarious. This week, I don't know if you guys remember the story. I remember this story. I was in, I think, the 4th grade when the story came out, of Mary Kay Letourneau, a teacher in the Seattle area. This happened in '97, and it was found she was messing around with. She was a 6th grade teacher. She was messing around with one of her students. And it turned into this huge thing because this was one of the first cases, I think, that nationwide people, oh my goodness, a teacher, having relations with the student. She gets convicted of statutory rape, but it was already too late. She had got pregnant by him. Mind you, she was going through a rough time at home already with her husband and 4 kids. Sound familiar? Going through a rough time at home with your husband and kids, right? She ends up going to prison. They let her out on parole. She's told to stay away from the kid. At this time, the kid is, I think, 14 or 15 by the time she gets out on parole. She violates the terms of her parole, which was staying away from the kid, and gets pregnant by him again. So she goes back in, finally gets out in 2005. They get married because I guess the turf was great.
I remember that.
But
growing grass.
What people don't know, 3 years ago, they got a divorce. Here's the crazy part is I saw a family picture because this week she died from breast cancer. R.I.P. Mary Kay Letourneau.
Wow, I didn't know that.
His parents had sued the school district, multi-million-dollar lawsuit, said that the school district did not protect their son from this predator teacher who, once again, having problems in your marriage at home. You got 4 kids, all of those things. And what do? You run off to something you think the grass is greener. But I'm looking at the kids that she had with this guy, Vili Falau. Their oldest kid is 23. Yes, 23. So, folks, this isn't.
I didn't mean to make that reaction, but that was.
No, I know. No. That's why I said it, because it's things we don't think through. It's things we don't see. We'll talk about, man, this is the deed. This is what happened. But we don't talk about the aftermath. We don't talk about the fruits that come from these traumatic and traumatized roots.
Yeah.
I'm looking at a family picture. It is you, dad. You were 12 when you got mom pregnant, who was already in her 30s. And now you have a 20-something-year-old. Like, what do you tell your kids about how mom and dad met? What do kids now have to tell their friends about their parents' relationship? Like the trauma that Jaden and Willow, we already see what's up with Jaden and Willow. Yeah.
Wait. Is the 23-year-old the son?
No, they had 2 daughters. Here's the crazy part. They had 2 daughters.
Okay, so
yeah,
they about to go to the club. People be like, "Oh, is that your brother?" Like,
dude,
oh, can we holler at your brother? Be like, look, I ain't trying to have you be my stepmama, so I'm gonna need you to fall back.
Because dad is only 35.
Yo,
and you 23. Like it's wild. But then let's shift that from really like a suburban situation to celebrity status. Will and Jada. Now, Jada didn't have a kid by August. Okay, none of that happened. But the emotional ties and the trauma and all those things are still there. And it's easy to point the finger and say, well, August is a homewrecker because he's bringing this all up now. But have we considered, like you said, Cecil, that of course these things are unresolved in him, and he doesn't, not everyone, very few people, as we're finding out, at like our friend of the show on another podcast, the Osane podcast, Izu said this week, keyboard warriors. Okay, it's easy for these keyboard warriors to sit behind their keyboards and say, August is a homewrecker. I can't believe you do this to the Smiths. The Smiths are such a great family. Yeah, they went through their trials, but they're a happy family. Look at Red Table Talk. Look at us. No. Right. Take them off the pedestal, okay? Take them off the pedestal and see them for what they are.
Yeah.
Had a very rough patch. Not sure if that stuff is now. Will alluded to it. We went through a lot of therapy. We went through this. We went through that. Don't know if things are necessarily better. On the surface, it looks like it's better. But what about the casualties who are left in the wake of your foolishness, in the midst of your flings? August Alsina is a casualty. And so it's nuanced and it's more complex than just he's right, he's wrong, she's right, she's wrong. It's more nuanced than that. It's trauma. Hurt people hurt people. And we need to all bring ourselves to the red table. Somebody, come on now.
Not that red table, but a red table for sure.
The blood.
The blood. The blood of Jesus. So hopefully that gets rectified sincerely, because that, I mean, there's a lot of layers to that, and hopefully August can get real healing and real help, with him expressing all of this. It's as much as we laugh at it, it is definitely crazy. It's definitely layered. But at the end of the day, you don't know what people are going through, and that's the biggest thing to take away from it. You don't know what people are going through. So, as long as you're there to aid and help them the right way, they can get back on their feet. But the moment you rationalize that, then you put yourself in jeopardy, and then you potentially and will harm people around you. So, yeah, but music. We were just gonna start off with music. KB came out with a single, 10K. I want you guys. I don't know if you guys heard it yet, but I want you guys to listen. The sample. The Clearance King. Probably the best one to flip any sample, like worship sample from a Christian artist.
This is actually my first time listening to this joint. Oh man, I can't say certain words.
Question. Now that you heard that, first off, what do you think of the song? That's what I want to know.
It's about to be on replay like 10 more times after this show.
So it's cool. I think the previous single he dropped right after he, left Reach, I think it's called Armies. I think I like that sample better. So I think this makes 3 or 4 now that he's flipped. So 10,000 Reasons, Bust Little on My Soul, Angel Armies, Oceans, and
probably the most popular song.
Oceans would be the most popular, but
people try to flip that all the time.
But Armies is up there though, because I mean that's by the incomparable Chris Tomlin, who wrote "How Great Is Our God." I think he might have flipped "How Great Is Our
Chris
God."
Tomlin.
Yeah, I think he's the king of the doves.
Pretty much as well. My question is this: why is it easy for Christian artists, or why are they so quick to flip other songs instead of creating their own? Because, and I say that because from the landscape of Christian music, you don't see, just from the landscape overall, you really don't see a lot of original tracks from Christian artists. They try to bite or flip or sample secular tracks or old school tracks from a secular artist or whatever the case may be. So, and it's not until they really, really get with the right person that they create their own original stuff. But either when they start off or that's just their thing. Like KB has found a niche where he's able to get clearance from a lot of these songs. and I read a tweet that pointed that out and said it's easier for a Christian artist to get clearance and flip songs more than the other artists, secular artists. My question is, why is that?
That's easy. It's a Christian
True.
community. Like,
Yeah.
you're gonna look extra, and I think someone like KB could get away with it. I don't know if someone like, let's pick a name.
Lecrae?
No, I think Lecrae could get away with it.
Swoop?
Swoop, I think could actually get Swoop. So, side note, Swoop be helping write some jams. I was listening to it.
He is like he writes for a lot.
He does everything. Yeah, he does everything.
Can
Why
Garvey get the clearance?
Huh?
You said what?
Can Garvey get the clearance?
I think Garvey could get the clearance because of his connection with Reach Records.
Yeah. He started out as a producer.
Andy could, same thing.
I think all of
Reach
can.
Reach is straight.
My thing is
Reach and Reach
the
affiliated.
only one that does it. I mean, heavily.
Well, he does it, and he's like you said, he's kind of found a niche with it.
Yeah.
I look at it the same way as when and Kanye always has, taken stuff and flipped it and sampled it. Kanye might, to a lot of people, might be the sample king. So I look at it the same exact way. Why not? Why not?
Yeah.
And it just happens to be music that's God glorifying and body edifying. Hopefully it's not because there's nothing worse than a sample where someone raps over it and it's horrendous. I don't care if you're quote unquote secular or in the CHH space. So I haven't really heard of bad.
Could NF get the clearance?
NF wouldn't do it. That's the thing.
He wouldn't do it. Yeah. I was just about to say
I don't know if maybe Bizzle could get the clearance. I don't know if someone like
Sorry,
Bizzle
I was about to
What?
I
Okay.
Anyways.
Yeah, I know.
But NF, back to NF though, I don't think not just he will not.
It's not.
I don't think people in the Christian community really mesh with him though.
No.
He's very edgy.
The Dove centric side does.
True.
The Dove Saints do. The Stellar Saints don't.
Okay.
I don't think the Stellar Saints do. Because he's too Eminem-ish for them. He's too Eminem-ish. He's too one lane. And the biggest thing is from a content perspective. Think about the talk of mental health within the Black church. Minimal to none. Okay. Listen, there's a demon. You got to get that out. You just need to pray it out. You don't have enough faith. So to openly talk about your mental health challenges, struggles, anxiety, all of those things. Oh man, he might as well be demon possessed. Listen, Sister Jenkins on the front row,
especially with the lyrics and how he describes it.
Oh man, they're gonna drag him to the front row, baptize him in the good old canola. Okay, backhand everything. He's getting all of it. They're gonna have the hand on the stomach. He needs to purge. Okay, he just needs to get all of that out. So there was no room to even mess with stuff that NF is saying, I think, from the Black church perspective, which is unfortunate.
It is. It is.
Because you're missing out on some real things. Like I mentioned earlier, it's great to hear artists who rap about real things that really speak to what you're going through instead of the pretentious stuff that makes you feel like, oh man, yeah, someday. No. The real stuff, like Abe mentioned, I think a couple episodes ago, talking about NF, man, I can relate. I can relate 100% to what he's saying.
Yeah. But is NF even like truly, honestly, even accepted by people at Dove? I haven't seen him around even that group.
What's crazy?
He's just in his own bubble.
When I first started listening to NF, it was in college. So this was when I was away from the church. And while I listened to him in college, I was like, I viewed it from a secular point of view. Someone just talking about their mental state of health. I viewed him the same way I viewed Eminem. So that's why it appealed to me, because he had that similarity. But then as I began to listen more and more, I realized that it was a good bridge with his faith. And for me, I felt that this was appropriate for how I was living my life then, saying that, I didn't turn my back on God in the sense of I despise God or I had no relationship. I just didn't go to the church. I was no longer connected with the church. So listen to NF kind of kept me bridged to God, saying that okay, the way I feel and whatnot, I have someone I can talk to, I have someone I can relate to, and all that. But my first ever conversation about NF was with someone who's not affiliated with a church, someone who doesn't has never talked about their faith, and their view of his flow and why they listened to him was for the same reason that I first started listening to him. And so for me, NF, his bubble of listeners, I don't think a lot of them are actually connected to the church or people who discuss much about their faith. It's more of people who are listening to on the other side who are coming at it from the mental health perspective and how he relays that message. And so I actually do agree with Cecil that I'm not even sure that that community, the Dove community, actually looks at him. I know of people who walk in the faith who listen to him for sure. One of our co-hosts, LJ, she's a big fan of him and her family, but I think that's a very few number, so I can't see the Dove folks being big fans either.
Here's why I say the Dove folks. Look at all the concert tours that he ends up on or stops. There, if it's not his own concert tour, he's on the stuff put on by Transparent Productions, which is like the concert tour promotion company within the Christian community. Yeah. So he's, as long as he always ends up on those cards and those tickets, he's accepted by them, and he's going to continue to get the exposure. He's going to continue to get the conference invites. He's going to continue to get, you name it, he'll get it. Lecrae won't get it, but you name it, he'll get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
The non-Lecrae invites is another story for another day.
It really is. But sticking to Clarence and stealing, I got a question actually. That's not even on our topic list. Not even on our topic list. So there's a recent article, not even article, there's been news that's resurfacing as far as the clothing brand God is Dope. A few years ago, they were accused of pretty much stealing people's ideas. God is Dope is not a Christian company at all, which in actuality, it is very true. They're not a Christian company.
100%.
The owner actually doesn't even, if you ask them, and very true, if you ask them in the DMs or anything like that, hey, you guys are a Christian company, they won't respond. And if you ask them, what God are you guys talking about, they'll say, oh, any God. So this is not fabricated or anything like that. They're not a Christian company. So it's been resurfaced, and then there's been people that have this stance on, well, yeah, they're not Christian, but if we buy it and we rock it, then we can turn this into spreading, the good news still. Like it's just clothes. It's just this. And my question that I really want to know from you guys is it wrong to put money in a clothing brand or any brand, a product that does not represent what they stand for? Now, notice I didn't just say Christian clothing brand, because there are a lot of brands, period, secular brands, that they're a totally different person from what they put out there in the open. Let's, Russell Simmons, for example, totally different person. Like, that dude is nasty. That's another story. But when it comes to your brand, your product, is it okay for me to buy your product or invest in your product even though you don't stand for what you are putting out?
I think it comes down to an issue of your conscience. So there are people who will say, boycott such and such brand, boycott, I don't know, Starbucks for their Black Lives Matter stands, or boycott, I'm not even gonna throw out a celebrity name because of how they feel about, how about this? Boycott Kanye because of some of his views and viewpoints, right? Pause. But the companies like Nike, who we know their practices when it comes to how they manufacture their products. So if your conscience can bear with you knowing the ugly truth about things and you still purchasing, by all means, do your thing. My thing, especially when it comes to the God is Dope stuff, is shout out to Cyrus Harbin, great poet. He's the one who's, I know, done a lot of the digging up on the God is Dope stuff. Not out of because he has some great stuff on his IG about it. And he said it. Listen, he said, I've known the info for a few years, and I didn't say anything because I wanted to make sure my heart was right when I spoke out about it, because I didn't want it to be a thing where basically taking food off of somebody's table. But at the end of the day, we need to know what we're putting our money toward. So if I'm putting my money toward a brand, God is Dope, and I'm wearing it, think about this. Tomorrow, name your favorite preacher, gets up on stage, is wearing a God is Dope tee, right? And is preaching the paint off the walls. 100,000, 500,000, get 1 million views on their sermon on YouTube. That's free promo for God is Dope, a brand that does not even have anything to do with the faith. And when they've been pressed recently, their new thing is, oh, we're new believers, so we're just trying to figure this thing out.
You've been
Really?
new believers since when?
Yeah, and that's the thing. But that's been the excuse they've been using for the
and
past.
in their minds, God was a rapper. From
yeah. So
knowledge.
that's how it started. Was there was a one of them, the founder was managing a rapper whose name was God. And so we figured, oh, this will be a dope way to sell merch. So God is Dope. And then they made things very ambiguous, and all of a sudden it's blown up, and they haven't pulled back anything.
You haven't even heard from the rapper.
Haven't heard from the rapper. The brand is blown up. If I was the rapper, I might want to sue or something. So the brand is blown up, is getting free advertising from the Christian community. Free advertising, okay? Every day. I feel like it's almost every day. I either watch a YouTube video from a preacher, or I see on someone's Instagram wearing a God is Dope tee or something.
Today, at least 4 posts of
easily
them posting, hey, oh my God, I got my shirt.
Bro.
Super hype.
So in the age that we live in a viral age. If it's viral, it must be for me. Folks, if it's viral, doesn't mean it's necessarily of value to you. So if you don't do your research into things that are going viral, you'll end up reposting, giving free promo, throwing your dollars at things that don't align with your values. And then what happens? You have allowed something to take a placehold or a foothold in this in your world or your sphere, and you can't be mad when something blows up like a God is Dope, or you can't be mad when certain individuals ascend to whatever, whether it's in media or entertainment or politics. You can't be mad if you didn't do your research to find out really what they stand for, because there are few things we have in this life that have some influence, and the dollar is one of them. That dollar bill, y'all. And the things that we throw our dollars to are the things that can really have influence and impact in this world. And so just because it says God don't mean it's of God.
Yeah. No, I've always been on the side of, well, when it came out and someone asked me, like, what's your take on it? My take is this. I do agree. Conscience. If your conscience is clear as far as buying the product, fine. However, I'm on the side of just make sure your message is clear. I support people with clear messages. For this guy to not stand for what he's putting out, I do have an issue with that, because I feel like if you're putting money, as far as the customer, you're putting money into someone that doesn't line up with the message that they're putting out. They don't even know what they're putting out. If we really want to be honest, they don't know. So now we're saying, well, as long as we wear it, we're Christians, we can wear it and, still influence people with, not influence, but spread the gospel and stuff like that because of the message on the shirt. That's cool, but you're still putting money in a person that does not line up with the belief. So that's my only thing. I'm all for just stand up for what you believe in. And I'm trying to make it as general as possible, because there are other brands, secular brands, that don't line up with what they're selling and stuff like that. I'm all about just stay true to who you are and what you're selling, whether it's merch, your concert, whatever it is. Somebody even said, like, there's even churches that do the same thing. I get it, but just stay true to who you are. That's all I ask for. So it was really interesting. It's resurfacing. I don't know what will happen with God is Dope. Um, I hope there is a change. I'm not, again, this is not me saying I hope they just tear down and just, shut down and close down forever. Because again, you are taking money out of that person's pocket who needs to, live, especially during these times. So that's not what I'm definitely not what I'm promoting, at all. So we'll see what happens. Back to the music. Rest in peace to Juice World, who has an album. And last week, of course, Pop Smoke. I don't know how to say that word, so I'm not even gonna try it. Pop Smoke. Last week dropped the album. Of course, rest in peace to him who passed away. There's been a few albums that have dropped that people they're not here with us anymore. I know Abraham, you have more of a better dive on that than me, so I'm gonna let you. You got the ball, man. Dribble
So the Pop Smoke album was good, but fast break. But there was a little controversy with that. I don't know. Yeah, so we might as well get into it. So apparently on the deluxe edition of the album, which is why, not specifically talking about Pop Smoke, but why is everybody just coming out with an album and then like 2 weeks after they're like, all right, now we got the deluxe edition, which is somewhere between like 2 to like 20 other songs that we're just going to drop on you. Why not drop the whole thing? Anyway, the controversy right now is beef between Young Thug and Pusha Terrence, over a song that is on the deluxe edition where supposedly Pusha takes some shots at Drake. Now, Thugger didn't feel so good about that, so he went on IG Live and called him out saying that, yo, keep all that sneak this and do that basically on your own song. Don't hop on someone else's song who had passed and bring your messiness over to their song, especially since no one else on the track has beef with who you got beef with. We don't want to be dragged in with it. And Pusha responded saying a couple things. One, those weren't about him at all. Like, they weren't sub shots. Two, I brought you onto the song, first of all. I brought you here.
Shots fired!
3, that ultimately I don't need this for clout or whatever. And then he told the one of the people working on the albums to just keep him off the deluxe edition. Just take his verse out, If it's going to be a problem, then take it out. He has no issue with it because he doesn't need it. And the regular album was dope. So we'll see what the deluxe album has.
But hold on. If Pusha T got to come out and say that, then obviously people felt like it was about Drake. So,
I mean, he came out to say that because Thugger basically called him out. You can't just ignore it, especially with the clout that Thugger himself has and the fan base that he has. If he comes out and says that and you don't respond, to a lot of people will be, well, yeah, Thugger was right. So Pusha had to defend himself. He had to. Now, whether he's telling the truth about it not being shots, we need to hear what the song was. Right? I need to know the lyrics. But overall, Pop as an artist I love his flow. I love his diction. The album was fire. Juice WRLD. So before I listened to it, I saw other people's critiques of the album. And a lot of them were emotional. A lot of them said that, man, you can't come in. You got to come in with a certain mindset. You got to be ready. And so I said, okay, I don't know what mindset I have because I never really listened to Juice WRLD like that when he was alive. So I'm not familiar with him as an artist. But of course, after he passed, I had listened to some songs that had dropped on other people's albums, such as G Herbo's album song PTSD with Juice WRLD and Chance. And I like Juice WRLD's how he was on the hook. I like how he brought flow to a song because you know how G Herbo is. G Herbo's he's a Chicago cat. He's not gonna have. He doesn't have any soft like verbiage. He doesn't have any soft flow. So for Juice WRLD to hop on that and to really bring his own style and it still slapped, I was like, all right. So I'm excited for this album. I listened to it, and not having any emotional attachment to it, I just thought, wow, just these songs itself, even if you look at the titles and what he actually talks about, had he released this when he was alive, it's hard for people to not be like, yo, Juice World, are you okay? Like, where are you at mentally? So hearing it after his death, it's like a deeper look, a deeper dive into just how his mental state was. And when you listen to it, I got a chance to listen to it twice this past weekend. It was just, yo, he was going through it. He was really going through it, and there was a lot on his mind, and he clearly used music as his outlet, but it clearly wasn't enough.
My thing is just like makes you wonder who was around him to see any signs of red flags, like, yo, let's check up on him, let's see what's going on. Because I get, artists pours their heart out in music, but at the same time, if he's pouring his heart out in music like that and you hear it, so there has to be an alarm. There has to be something that'll tell you, wait, let me hit up Juice WRLD real quick, because something ain't right. And my take on it is this: I feel like we are in awe with artists who pour their heart out in albums. But at the same time, I hope that as you listen to music like that, you're not just in awe of how much his heart was in the music, but also recognize, oh wait, hey, maybe this artist is going through something. Hey, maybe this artist has a rough patch right now. I do feel like that's more on the team, whoever his team was around him at that time, to recognize stuff like that. But there has to be a balance of, yeah, pour your heart out. It's okay to struggle, feel free. But at the same time, where's your team at when you are going through all this stuff? Like, that's what's alarming for me. The album was, I feel like it was really good. Again, I'm just like you. I wasn't a fan of Juice WRLD when he was alive. I just now started to listen to it. This was the first album I've listened to it all the way through, and it was eye-opening. Very out from the jump, it was eye-opening. Of course, I can see why certain people probably didn't listen to him while he was alive. He has a very rockish hip hop feel where he was able to fuse the two, which is rare. And you have those people that lately, the past 5-6 years, that have been able to do that. With him, Triple Red, X. He passed away a couple years ago. So that fuse is very unique, and it only appeals to certain people. But with Juice WRLD, this album was good. It was really good. So I credit, the team who was able to salvage the tracks and get the tracks together and the features and really deliver these songs. It does make you wonder though, like, how many songs do these artists have in the tuck? Like,
a lot.
Because
apparently it's a common thing. They have catalogs.
When they leave, God forbid, but it's just when they do pass, and hear articles like, oh, they had like 300, 400 songs in the tuck. And it's like, whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah, you just going into the studio and recording.
Yeah.
You're gonna have something.
And if you listen to the album, there's a interlude where a couple of other musicians give their thoughts on them. And Lil Dicky hopped on and said that, man, this guy would hop on a beat, and for 3 minutes he would just freestyle. And then the same beat, he would freestyle for another 3 minutes, and you have two different hits. And Juice would just be like, all right, which one do you want? Like, choose either. It's the same beat, but he spit on it 2 different times, and you got 2 different vibes. So it amazes me, because when a lot of people, like, when they're still alive and we're like, yo, we're waiting on projects, like, why aren't they writing? It's like, no, they have stuff. They clearly have stuff. It's other things that may be preventing them, whether it's deals with the label, maybe their own mental mindset and whatnot.
One is the best example to that.
True. But to answer your question, and then I know Osan, I feel like you're gonna have a good take too. Answer your question. There was an episode of Rick and Morty that I watched where Rick, the scientist, he put himself into a younger body and went to high school with his niece and nephew. And while he was doing that, tiny Rick he was enjoying himself and living the typical high school, like, yo, I'm bad, you know, party, what's up, let's go life. And they're having a house party and he's singing about how much he hates his life and he wants to die and whatnot. And everybody at the party, all the other high school kids are like, yeah, yeah. And Morty's like, yo, we should be concerned, and ask his sister. And his sister's like, no, clearly, you see how much he's having fun. You see, he's just rocking his head. He's vibing. Everybody's celebrating. Like, of course. That's how I feel like. That's how I feel like it is with these rappers. Is that they are rapping about their pain and what they're going through, but because the people around them and people who are not really paying strict attention, they just hear like, yo, he seems happy, he's making money, everybody's loving it, he's famous, like there has to be no issue. And it's like, no, that's not really it. You're paying attention to the surface level. You're not really looking at it, which is crazy because he's blatantly saying it. These artists are blatantly speaking about their pain, but because there's money that's being made from it, popularity, fame, you know, the person may smile and it's like, all right, they smile, they happy. We don't, as people, pay attention to these individuals' mental states, and it sucks. It really does.
I mean, Smokey Robinson said it best: "Tears of a clown." Like we look for the entertainment, and if there's anything I feel like this pandemic has exposed in the sports world, but it translates over into just life period, is because of the way we look at celebrities and entertainers, people fail to see them as actual humans. And so when they express their feelings about things, when they express their feelings about racial injustice, when they express their feelings about what's going on internally, they get the shut up and dribble, shut up and rap, shut up and sing. Just entertain me, keep me entertained. Why? Because you talking about your pain exposes and brings me into an uncomfortable space where I have to address my pain as well. And so instead of taking it for what it is and saying, listen, man, that's real. I can relate to that. And maybe I need to go look and take some introspection of myself and take inventory of myself and see how I can improve what's going on in me. It's just no. Like, oh yeah, that's crazy. You said that in that song. Man, hey, that beat was dope, bro. That beat was banging. Oh, that's cool. But like, what about the stuff under the surface? So we need to do better. We definitely need to do better, and we need to actually, let me backtrack. I think we've also become desensitized to the severity of mental health challenges because we tend to look at it as, well, yeah, like so and so's depressed. I'm depressed too. You know, I'm dealing with anxiety too, bro. I got mental health stuff going on too, man. And so we've, in the effort to normalize,
the reward is we have it in common, but that's it.
Right. So
that's all we're gonna go for.
Yeah. So we both are crippled. So yeah, like it's great. But as much as misery loves company, at some point misery needs to find a way to get out, and misery needs help. So we're too quick to just find comfort in the company of misery, as opposed to saying, listen, I know we're both in a bad space. One of us needs to get out, if not both of us. How do we both get out? So we do need to hold ourselves accountable, and we cannot allow. I'm glad that the topic of mental health has become a little more normalized, but we cannot allow ourselves to transition to a place where we become desensitized to it. Because if artists are saying it this boldly in their music, hello, let's listen up. They are humans too. They're not invincible or impervious to pain. We've seen the track record of musicians and entertainers throughout the decades who have taken their lives, or who have suffered just these terrible bouts of mental health challenges and issues. And this expands across the spectrum, not just entertainers, but celebrities as a whole.
Yeah. And I think that's in the conditions that we're living in, this is why it's so alarming and is more vibrant than past times, because I do feel like because of what we've been going through this year in 2020, these artists that have put out albums like this are more significant because it speaks to the internal state of what people are going through on the daily. This is why and I'm not even gonna talk about it that much, but as far as like YG, he came out with a song that nobody knew last night called Swag, and nobody cared for it. Like people's on Twitter, like, yo, this is like you want to be the baby, like so bad. Like it's almost like you picked up the phone, called the baby, and he didn't pick up, and now you're like, well, F it, I'm gonna do it. And now you sound just like him, and you failed. So Swag was a hit and miss. But my point is the fact that I feel like songs like that right now, people ain't really paying attention to it right now. It's like unless you're talking about something, now ain't the time to give me some mumble rap or give me the give me lit type stuff right now, unless it's for a reason or a purpose. That's why I think beyond them passing away, I think that's why you have like Juice WRLD's album be so significant right now, because I feel like now people are paying more attention to the lyrics of it, when before people was looking for the bounce and looking for uh or into the cadence of stuff, and now it's more of, okay, what is he talking about? Oh, he was going through this. Oh, wait a minute, let's talk about this. Let's have a conversation with it, a conversation about this. And to tackle what you said as far as mental health, I'm happy as well that mental health is starting to be more normalized. But like I said before, it cannot be to the point where we treat it as a reward system. Like, oh, you suffer, I suffer too. Like, and we just go about our day. Like, you suffer with anxiety, I suffer with anxiety. That's fine. There has to be, like you said, somebody got to get out. Somebody has to see the light at the end of the tunnel. And it cannot be something of where it gets so normalized. I can't talk today. You know what I mean? But it can't not be something to where we treat it as a bonus and not look to seek help or try to help that person get out of it. That's one thing I do notice too, is it just, we can't just settle for that, like our dysfunction. We can't just settle in it and call it a day. So we'll see what happens with that. Juice WRLD album is really good. I do encourage people to listen to it. And I do hope, hey, it'll probably open up some conversations too about stress and anxiety and mental health. Because I do believe, even though yes, it's secular, I do believe there's some benefit in listening to it with a healthy ear and a healthy intent. So, shout out to him and rest in peace to him. Another more serious news, of course, rest in peace Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, arrest the cops that killed Breonna Taylor, Vanessa Guillen, Elijah McClain. That is a long list already, man. Another one that surfaced, it wasn't labeled as a murder yet, but is really, really heartbreaking. It's not too much to talk about on this, but of course, Niya Rivera, an actress from Glee, apparently is missing, even currently. Her 4-year-old was found on the boat, asleep, I believe. But they found the car. The car was in the parking lot. The purse was still in the car. I guess they took the boat out to the water, and she never came back. So right now they're ruling it as, okay, she must have drowned, but now they're now switching it to a recovery mission. Usually, and it's really tough to even say, but usually when we hear stuff like that, we automatically think, okay, this person is not coming back. But we do pray that she does come up found. We definitely prayers out to her son and the family. Listen, stuff hit when you're a father. I'll just share that in my little soapbox. So when you have a kid and you see stuff like this, it's you really, your heart breaks. And it has full of empathy for stuff like this. It's really, really heartbreaking. So prayers out to that family and to the 4-year-old boy, and we still hope that she does come up found, and we're hoping for the best for that one in that situation. However that situation wants to turn out, we do hope for the best for that one. Other news: Cali prisoners, which was announced today of this recording, so 8,000 prisoners are going to be released due to COVID-19, the spread of COVID-19 in the jail cell. So Governor Newsome has made this suggestion to release 8,000 inmates with some stipulations. Obviously, my thing is this: release the ones that you falsely accused. Start with them first in Cali. Like, as long as they're in that group, then that's a step in itself.
release the ones that were thrown the book at over
Right.
possession charges.
That
Exactly.
war on drugs, over that BS
Yeah.
war on drugs. Release those ones.
Yeah.
Okay.
So make sure they in the 8,000, because that's a whole lot of prisoners that you releasing, and it'll be a shame if majority of them are not the ones you threw in there for that thing, for that deal, and even petty stuff that they're putting in time way more than what they deserve. That's just my take on it. Like, because the prison system obviously is flawed. We know there's something wrong with it. It needs to be fixed. But we hope in the midst of this that those inmates that are falsely accused are in there longer than what they deserve, get out and able to be in freedom and do what they got to do to get their life on track for sure. What else? Before we get to song of the week on this Taco Tuesday, we haven't covered T.I. and 50 Cent.
I mean, what is there? Oh,
What
you
is
know
there
what?
to cover?
No, we
I don't care.
yeah, Abe wanted that. I know Abe wanted that so bad. He has some strong.
I'm actually over it now.
You're over it?
I'm focused on
Oh, I
these.
thought you had strong opinion regarding
My
that.
strong opinion was that a lot of people saying that Tip would win it, and you
With
know what?
Washington. Not winning.
Yeah, it'd be one-sided. And I said, look, a lot of those same people had Loso beating Kiss, and how'd that turn out?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like it doesn't matter really
too.
about hits. It depends on how you strategize and how you run the rotation.
Yeah.
Now, even though he loves to say expeditiously and whatnot and all that,
and
look, sir, how's your strategy? Because one, here's the thing. Will 50 even take it seriously? Is the first part. You know, 50 loves to troll.
50 don't. He's a businessman.
You know he loves to troll. And then two, if he does hop on, I'm worried that they're gonna underestimate him, and all of a sudden he's gonna start hitting with boom, 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 and he's gonna be like, "Oh, so I wasn't ready for him to pull this out at this time," you know, and that's how you're gonna end up losing because that's what Kiss did, and that's how Loso won.
Hit him with 21 questions in the club. Oh, I'm sorry.
Be like,
bad, I'm sorry.
We were gonna wait on.
we don't wait. I didn't mean it.
Suggestions on 50's 20 songs that he could potentially play. It might be it might end up being like 11-9 final score, or
it's close.
I have 51.
T.I. has a lot of features that killed.
So does 50 though.
True, but not as many.
Listen,
it depends on which ones get pulled out.
I'll say this: T.I.'s career stretched, but 50's has hits that just it can defeat his longevity. But at the same time, we can't knock T.I.'s longevity as far as how many records that were smashes. Swagger Like Us, technically, it's still his song.
Oh, well, look. First of all, I was talking to the homie Rob about this because we were just chilling and then decided to play that song. T.I. had the weakest verse on the song. And it's not even his fault, really. It's not because his flow was bad. It's just because...
You're going against Eminem.
Jay, Ye, Wayne,
not Eminem,
they
Wayne,
all popped off. Yo, they all popped.
They all did. Yeah.
So it's like T.I. is like, man, you got washed on your own song by 4 other people.
And to put it in context, it's not like he got his verse wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad. No, it wasn't.
Everybody else was just.
So better. If he was to play that, it'd be like, look.
Like, yeah, but we remember Lil Wayne.
Yeah, we like this song because of the other 4 people on it, not because of you. If you weren't on the song, it wouldn't have made the song worse. It wouldn't have made the song worse. So if you want to pull out Swagger Like Us, you're gonna have people tweeting like, "Hey, we need another project with Ye, Jay, Wayne, and M," and people are not gonna stay with T.I. at all. So don't do that. Don't do that, T.I. Don't do that. You gotta remember which songs you want to play that you may have had other people featured on or you're featured on. Be careful because there are a good number of songs where the better lyricist is not you.
It's not. So you got to think about that expeditiously.
But I have 50. I'm not rooting against 50 in this case.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm looking at 50s. Come on. Candy Shop, In the Club, PIMP, just a little bit.
T.I. a chance.
Many Men,
if
21 Questions
plays the wrong song at the wrong time.
Patiently Waiting.
timing is important. But
It's all
look,
about timing. But he
can play that whole "Get Rich or Die Trying" album, and
the whole album.
It's enough.
Yeah,
it's enough.
He has enough, including features.
And then you have G Unit.
Yeah, the G Unit stuff. So all he has to do, it's all about timing. It is all about timing.
And you know how we've always noticed with these verses, there are those where we didn't know they had a hand in, whether it was with writing or whatnot. Look, 50 is with Dre and M. Let's not find out that there's some M classics or some
right
Dre joints that 50 actually played a huge role in, and then all of a sudden we're like, "Hey, yo, T.I. don't pull that on us." And you know, T.I. gonna end up playing the Iggy Azalea joint, and you know, it's curtains at that point. It's like, all right, T.I., you're done.
I would leave Iggy on the sideline. Don't even bring her into the discussion in the battle, like, because we gonna remember who you paired up with on that one, and that was a huge fail. But we'll see what happens. I don't think it'll happen. I think 50 Cent is, like I said, he's a businessman. I think he's over the industry in that sense. So I think he'll do it for giggles.
He doesn't need it. He doesn't need it.
He don't. That's why I feel like T.I. is definitely putting his mouth on everything because he wants to be included in this whole,
especially with the recent messiness that's been surrounding him over the last like 6 months.
He needs some redeeming. He wants some redeeming. So I get it, but it's like, he might want to wait. He might want to wait on that. So we'll see what happens. Song of the week.
He ain't got time for it.
Nah, he not. He probably developing deals and other stuff. He not even in the music game like that right now.
You know how he always hops on something and he has his hashtag for his what is that? His alcohol?
Yeah.
Is that he throws that hashtag everywhere.
Everything. He could be dissing you. He gonna throw that hashtag on.
He's gonna be in that verses and it's gonna be just the hashtag constantly. We gonna hear it.
He's gonna make the alcohol while they doing the verses.
So he ain't on the line. He ain't fresh.
Hopefully you guys have a amazing rest of your week. I don't have anything else. I don't think we don't even have anything we're doing too much. But I mean, everybody I guess has kept their cool. Well, no, we started out with doing too much already.
There's yeah. It's already enough.
We started out the gate with it.
Entanglement.
Man, stay untangled, y'all. You know, mental health is key. I think that was kind of the theme of this whole pod is mental health. You know, keeping your sanity. Communication is key to everything. So yeah, good pod. Make sure you guys have a good week. Visit us on craftfactory.org for past episodes. Also, thank you guys for listening on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube right now, thank you guys so much. You guys have been a huge support to what we're doing. So we thank you guys again for everything. If you're watching a replay or listening to the replay, shout out to you guys as well. I'm your host, Cecil, with the boys, Ozahan and Abraham. Once again, this is episode 11. I didn't even say it. Season 2, episode 11. Let them speak. And remember, if you rest in God, you can defeat all the odds 2 weeks in a row. So, peace out, y'all. We signing out. Peace. Adios.
Stay unentangled. Stay untangled.
Yikes.
You live.